Friends, there is a version of you that keeps holding you back. A version that whispers doubt into your ear, that feeds you excuses when you know you should act, that convinces you tomorrow is better than today. That version is weak. That version is afraid. That version is not your truth. And today you must make the decision to kill it. You see, weakness is not something outside of us. It lives inside. It shows up in the hesitation before we move, in the comfort that chains us, in the thoughts that say, I cannot. If you let this version of yourself live, it will steal every opportunity, it will rob you of growth, and it will bury your true strength before it ever has a chance to rise. But the moment you decide to face it, something powerful happens. When you feel the urge to stop, keep going. When your body says it is tired, go one more step. When your mind says it is enough, remind yourself it is never enough until the job is done. This is how you kill weakness. You do not argue with it. You do not beg it to leave. You rise above it by action. Discipline is the weapon. Discipline means you stand even when you want to sit. Discipline means you keep your word, not only to others, but most importantly to yourself. Every time you follow through, every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strike a blow against the weak version of you. Strength is not born in silence and stillness. It is forged in repetition, in pain, in effort. It is born when you continue to push, even though no one is watching, even though no applause is waiting, even though no reward is promised. Because the real reward is not out there. The real reward is inside you. It is the moment you look in the mirror and see the strong version standing in front of you, because you chose to kill the weak one. Ask yourself, who do you want to become? Do you want to stay small, fragile, afraid? Or do you want to embody power, courage, and unshakable confidence? The answer is not found in words. The answer is in action. If you rise today, if you step forward today, if you give everything today, then tomorrow you will meet the stronger you. The weak version of you lives in excuses. The strong version is built in action. If you take a moment to reflect, you will see how many times that weak self has spoken louder than the strong one. It says things like, I am too tired. I do not have enough time. Or maybe tomorrow. At first, these sound harmless, like reasonable thoughts, but they are poison. They spread through your mind slowly, and before you notice, they have stolen opportunities, dreams, and growth from you. Excuses are the comfortable shelter of weakness, and if you keep staying inside that shelter, you will never see what is possible for you. Action, on the other hand, is not always easy. Action often feels heavy, uncomfortable, and even painful. But that is exactly why it builds the strong version of yourself. Think of it like training. Muscles do not grow by being still. They grow when they are tested, torn, and rebuilt stronger than before. In the same way, your character, your mindset, and your spirit grow when you move forward despite the reasons not to. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you make the weak version of you a little quieter and the strong version a little louder. It is important to understand that excuses will always try to disguise themselves as logic. You will hear the voice saying, "Oh, I deserve to rest today," or "It is not the right time." Sometimes it will even sound like wisdom, but if you look closer, you will realize it is only fear dressed as reason. Action cuts through this disguise. Action does not wait for the perfect time, it creates it. Action does not ask for permission, it takes responsibility. That is why action is the only cure for excuses. Think about any person you admire, whether it is a leader, an athlete, or someone close to you. What made them strong was not that they had fewer obstacles or easier lives. What made them strong is that they chose action over excuses again and again. They woke up when they did not want to. They practiced when no one was watching. They endured when others quit. This is the path to killing the weak version of yourself. Every excuse you accept is like water poured onto a flame, slowly extinguishing your fire. but every action you take is fuel that keeps your inner fire alive. Do not underestimate small actions. Waking up when you promised yourself you would, finishing the task you wanted to postpone, speaking up when fear tells you to stay silent. All of these moments are battles against the weak version, and each victory matters. These are not small wins. They are bricks that build the foundation of the stronger you. Of course, there will be times you fail. There will be times you give in to excuses and choose the easy way. Do not mistake that for the end. What matters is that you recognize it quickly and return to action. The weak version thrives when you stay down after a mistake, but the strong version is built when you rise again. The difference between the two is not perfection, it is persistence. You already know the truth deep inside. When you finish a day full of excuses, you feel heavy, unsatisfied, and disappointed in yourself. But when you finish a day full of action, even if it was difficult, you feel light, proud, and alive. That feeling is proof of who you are meant to become. That is the voice of the strong version calling you. So remember, these excuses may feel safe, but they will cost you your potential. Action may feel hard, but it will give you strength. Every day is a choice. Do not let the weak version win by feeding it with excuses. Choose action, build discipline, and step forward. Because only through action will the strong version of yourself survive. The time has come to silence excuses and choose the stronger path. Every comfort you choose feeds weakness. Every discipline you choose kills it. Comfort is attractive. It feels good to sit back, to take it easy, to avoid challenge. But the truth is, comfort is deceptive. It appears to be your friend, yet it slowly turns into your enemy. It is the soft bed that keeps you from rising early, the distraction that pulls you away from your goals, the indulgence that delays your progress. Each time you surrender to comfort, you strengthen the weak version of yourself. You give it more power, more voice, and more control over your life. Discipline is different. Discipline is not pleasant at first, but it is the path to freedom. Discipline is the force that pulls you out of bed when you would rather stay under the covers. It is the hand that keeps you working when you feel like stopping. It is the voice that tells you to stay true to your word when no one is watching. Discipline hurts in the moment, but it heals in the long run. It builds resilience, character, and power. Every act of discipline is a strike against weakness. Understand this clearly. The weak version of you thrives in comfort because comfort demands nothing. Comfort never asks you to grow. Comfort never asks you to improve. Comfort only asks you to stay the same, and staying the same is the death of potential. When you keep choosing comfort, you are saying to yourself, I am fine being less than what I could be. And if you accept that, then the strong version of you will never have a chance to live. On the other hand, every disciplined choice you make sharpens your mind and strengthens your spirit. Waking up early when your body begs for more sleep, training harder when your muscles ache, focusing deeply when your mind craves distraction. These are not just actions, these are battles. And each battle you win against comfort is another step toward killing the weak version of yourself. Think about the strongest people you know, not just in physical strength, but in mental toughness and inner power. None of them were built in comfort. They were shaped through challenge, repetition, and discipline. They chose discomfort again and again until it became their new comfort. That is the secret. What feels uncomfortable today will one day feel natural if you choose it often enough. Discipline eventually becomes who you are. When you live without discipline, you live at the mercy of your moods. If you feel lazy, you do nothing. If you feel tired, you quit. If you feel bored, you walk away. That is weakness. But when you live with discipline, you are no longer ruled by feelings. You are guided by decisions. You do what you said you would do, no matter how you feel. And that is how you take control of your life. Comfort whispers lies like, you deserve this break, or you have worked enough. But ask yourself honestly, have you truly done everything you could, or are you settling for less? Discipline does not lie. Discipline shows results. Discipline creates progress that you can see and feel. Comfort may feel good now, but discipline feels good forever. It is important to notice the small moments where the battle is fought. Do you press the snooze button or rise immediately? Do you eat the food that slows you down or the food that fuels you? Do you waste hours on distractions or invest them in growth? These daily choices may seem small, but they decide which version of you becomes stronger. Weakness is not killed in a single grand act. It is destroyed piece by piece, choice by choice. Every time you favor discipline over comfort. In the end, the weak version of you is always waiting with open arms, promising ease, pleasure, and safety. But you must see through that illusion. True strength, true growth, and true freedom are born only in discipline. Choose discomfort. Choose effort. Choose the harder road. Because every time you do, the weak version of yourself loses its power, and the strong version rises higher. So remember, every comfort you choose feeds weakness. Every discipline you choose kills it. And it is your daily choices that decide who you become. Strength is born the moment you go one step further than your mind allows. There is a point in every effort, every struggle, every challenge where the mind begins to resist. It whispers that you are done, that you cannot push anymore, that you have reached your limit. Most people stop there. Most people accept that voice as the truth. But the reality is, the mind often quits long before the body does. And it is in that very moment of resistance that growth waits for you. If you stop when your mind says stop, you will remain the same. If you go one step further, you will create the strong version of yourself. Think of the times you have felt exhaustion while running, or fatigue during work, or even the weight of silence when facing a difficult conversation. Right when you feel like quitting, you are standing on the border between weakness and strength. If you stop, weakness wins. If you take even one step more, you prove to yourself that you are greater than the limits you once believed in. That extra step is not just physical. It is a message to your mind. It says, I am in control, not you. This is why the strongest people are not necessarily those who avoid struggle, but those who embrace it and push through it. They understand that the body and mind are trained not in the comfort zone, but beyond it. When you feel tired and keep going, when you feel afraid and still step forward, when you feel overwhelmed but continue to act, that is when transformation begins. Strength is not built in easy moments. Strength is born when you choose to move further than your mind allows. The weak version of you is clever. It knows exactly when to speak. It will say, stop the second you are uncomfortable. Because weakness survives on hesitation. It will tell you that you have done enough, that you have earned the right to stop, but deep down you know the truth. You are capable of far more. The strong version of you is quiet. It does not shout. It only waits for you to prove yourself with action. That extra step is how you call it forward. You see, life itself is a series of thresholds. Every challenge presents a wall. If you turn back, you stay behind that wall. But if you push past it, you discover a new strength you never knew was inside you. This is why discipline and effort matter. They teach you not to fear the wall, but to test it, to break it, to cross it. Each time you go one step further, you kill the weak version that holds you down and give life to the stronger one that pulls you up. Do not think strength is only about physical power. It is about endurance in the mind, resilience in the heart, and consistency in action. When your mind says you cannot wake up early another day, but you do. When your heart feels heavy with failure, but you still try again. When your focus begins to slip, but you return to the task anyway. These are not small moments. These are the exact places where strength is forged. You will never truly know your potential if you always stop where your mind wants to stop. Limits are only real if you accept them. Most of the time, the limit is not a wall, it is a door, and the key to opening it is taking one more step. Imagine what your life would look like if you went one step further in everything you did. One more hour of learning. One more repetition in training. One more day of consistency when you feel like quitting. That is where the stronger version of you is waiting. So do not be deceived by the voice that tells you to stop too early. Challenge it. Test it. Show yourself what lies beyond it. Because strength is never born in retreat. Strength is born in that single step beyond what your mind believes is possible. And if you can take that step again and again, weakness will no longer have a place to live inside you. The weak self fears change. The strong self grows through it. Change has always been a part of life, yet most people resist it because it feels uncertain. The weak version of you clings to what is familiar, even if it keeps you small, even if it keeps you unhappy, even if it keeps you stuck. That weak self convinces you that change is dangerous, that it is better to remain in the comfort of what you already know. But nothing new, nothing powerful, nothing extraordinary has ever come from refusing change. Growth demands transformation, and transformation only happens when you allow change to shape you. Think about the moments in your life when you were forced to change. Maybe it was moving to a new place, starting a new job, ending a relationship, or facing a challenge you had never known before. In those moments, you probably felt fear. You may have doubted whether you could handle it, whether you were strong enough, whether you could adapt. But if you look back honestly, you will realize that each change, no matter how uncomfortable, gave you something valuable. It may have given you strength, it may have given you wisdom, it may have given you courage, but it always gave you growth. The strong version of you understands this truth: change is not the enemy, it is the teacher. The weak version fears change because it sees only the discomfort at the beginning. It focuses on what might be lost, what might fail, and what might hurt. But the strong version sees further. It knows that every ending is the beginning of something new, that every challenge holds the chance to rise, that every shift brings an opportunity to build. When you choose to embrace change instead of resisting it, you are choosing to grow, to expand, and to strengthen who you are. There is a natural law in life: if you do not change, you remain the same. And if you remain the same, you cannot grow. But growth is essential because without it, you slowly weaken. Muscles weaken without movement. Skills weaken without practice. And even the mind weakens without new challenges. That is why the strong self welcomes change, because it knows growth cannot exist without it. Each change, no matter how small, is a chance to become more. The path of strength is not about avoiding uncertainty. It is about walking into it with courage. The weak version of you will always look for guarantees, waiting for the perfect moment to move, waiting for certainty before acting. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment, there is only now. The strong version is not afraid of uncertainty because it trusts itself. It does not need everything to be clear before stepping forward. It understands that clarity is found in motion, not in waiting. Change is also the key to discovering your potential. Without stepping into the unknown, you will never see how far you can go. Imagine staying in the same routine, with the same habits, surrounded by the same environment for your entire life. Nothing new would ever grow inside you. You would live, but you would never live fully. But when you face change, you test yourself. You learn new skills, you develop new perspectives, and you uncover strength you did not know you had. Do not allow fear to convince you that change is dangerous. What is truly dangerous is refusing to change. Because if you refuse change, you also refuse growth. You refuse the strong version of yourself. Fear is natural, but courage is choosing to act despite fear. And every time you choose courage in the face of change, the weak version loses power while the strong version rises. So when change comes, do not hide from it. Step into it. When you feel resistance, remind yourself that growth is waiting on the other side. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it shape you. Because the weak self fears change, but the strong self grows through it. And the choice of which version survives belongs only to you. To kill weakness, stop negotiating with it, and start moving beyond it. The weak version of you loves negotiation. It tries to make deals with your mind, deals that sound reasonable, but always lead you away from growth. It says things like, just rest a little longer, and then you will start, or skip today and work harder tomorrow, or you have already done enough. Why push further? These are not real reasons, they are clever tricks of weakness. Every time you argue with that voice, you give it strength. Every time you listen, you delay your progress. The truth is, you cannot bargain with weakness. You cannot convince it to leave you. The only way to defeat it is to stop giving it attention and move forward with action. When you negotiate with weakness, you waste time. You create space for doubt to grow, for hesitation to take root, for fear to multiply. But when you cut off negotiation and step into action, you remove its power completely. Action is the end of the debate. Action says, I am not here to talk, I am here to do. That is how you silence the weak version inside you, not by talking, not by reasoning, but by refusing to engage in its endless excuses and simply moving. The weak version survives because it knows how to appeal to your comfort. It tells you that you will feel better if you take it easy, that you deserve a break, that you should avoid the pain of pushing forward. But have you noticed how you feel when you give in to that voice? You feel temporary relief, but afterward, you feel regret. You feel disappointed in yourself because deep down, you know you surrendered to weakness. Compare that to the times you refused to listen, the times you pushed beyond, the times you kept going. In those moments, you felt strong, proud, alive. That is the difference between negotiation and action. One leaves you empty, the other fills you with strength. The strong version of you understands something very simple: weakness is not a partner, it is an enemy. You cannot reason with it. You must outwork it. You cannot compromise with it, you must overpower it. Negotiation only makes you hesitate, and hesitation is the soil where weakness grows. This is why decisive action is the weapon that kills it. The faster you move into action, the less space weakness has to argue. In training, in work, in life, the principle is the same. The moment you feel the weak voice rising, do not engage. Move. Do the push up, make the call, finish the task, take the step. Every time you act without hesitation, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the weak version trying to control you. The more often you practice this, the quieter that weak voice becomes. This does not mean the weak version will disappear completely. It will always return, waiting for moments when you are tired, distracted, or discouraged. But if you have trained yourself to stop negotiating and start moving, you will never be trapped by it again. You will know that the answer is not found in thinking, it is found in doing. Do not forget, weakness thrives in the mind. It cannot control your body unless your thoughts allow it. If you cut off its arguments quickly and act decisively, you close the door before it can step inside. Discipline is nothing more than this repeated practice, refusing to argue with weakness and choosing action instead. So the lesson is clear. Do not give weakness the chance to negotiate with you. Do not sit in silence while it convinces you. Do not waste time in thought when action is needed. Step forward, move beyond, and do what must be done. Because every time you act without negotiation, the weak version loses its grip, and the strong version takes its place. The true battle is not against the world, but against the limits inside you. It is easy to point outward and blame circumstances, people, or situations for why life feels difficult. But the strongest truth is that the real fight is not out there, it is within you. The weak version of yourself wants you to believe that the world is the enemy, that others are holding you back, that life is unfair. But this is a distraction. The strongest chains are not the ones placed by others, they are the ones you allow to exist inside your own mind. Fear, doubt, hesitation, and excuses are the true limits that keep you small, and unless you conquer them, no victory outside will ever matter. Look around, and you will see people who face challenges far greater than your own, yet they rise and overcome. This proves that circumstances alone are not the deciding factor. What decides whether you grow or stay stuck is how you deal with the fight inside. Your mind is the field where the battle is fought every single day. One side pushes you toward growth, the other pulls you toward weakness. And every decision, every action, every choice decides which side wins. The weak version of you is loud in moments of doubt. It says, "You are not ready, you are not strong enough, you will fail." And if you accept those words, you will never even step forward. The world outside may not stop you, but your mind will. That is why the greatest victory is not over others, it is over yourself. When you rise above your own doubt, your own fear, your own excuses, then nothing outside has the power to defeat you. Limits inside are powerful because they are invisible. You cannot see them, but you feel them every time you hesitate. You feel them every time you stop before starting. You feel them every time you talk yourself out of trying. But here is the truth. Those limits are not walls, they are illusions. They only exist if you choose to believe them. The strong version of you understands this and tests those limits daily. It does not ask if it can, it proves that it can. By taking action, by pushing forward, by refusing to surrender, the strong version breaks those illusions into pieces. Think about the greatest progress you have made in your life. Did it come from moments when everything was easy? No. It came when you challenged the voice inside that told you to stop. It came when you did what you thought you could not do. That is why the inner battle is the most important one, because winning it unlocks every other victory. When you defeat the limits inside, the obstacles outside become smaller, easier, and less powerful. It is also important to understand that this inner battle never truly ends. Every stage of growth will bring new doubts, new fears, new limits. But this is not something to fear. This is something to welcome, because it means you are still growing. The strong version of you does not expect life to get easier, it expects to get stronger. And that strength is earned only by continuing to fight the inner battle every day. When you wake up in the morning, the weak version will always be waiting with its arguments. It will ask you to stay comfortable, to take the easy path, to avoid discomfort. But you must remember that the enemy is not the world outside, it is that very voice within. If you silence it with action, you win. If you give in, you lose. This is why self-mastery is the highest form of power. A person who controls themselves cannot be controlled by the world. So shift your focus. Stop blaming the world for what you lack. Stop searching outside for the reason you have not become what you want to be. Look within, face the limits, and fight them until they break. That is how the weak version dies, and the strong version takes its place. Because the true battle is not against the world, but against the limits inside you. And winning that battle changes everything. Every day you decide which version of yourself deserves to survive. Life is a series of choices, and every choice shapes the person you are becoming. The weak version of you does not disappear on its own. It waits quietly for you to feed it with small decisions. Decisions that seem harmless in the moment, but are powerful over time. Sleeping in instead of rising early. Skipping the work you promised yourself you would finish. Avoiding the challenge you know you should face. All of these choices give life to weakness. But when you choose discipline, when you choose action, when you choose courage, you are feeding the stronger version of yourself. And whichever version you feed most often is the one that survives. This is the reality many avoid accepting. People often wait for motivation to come, as if strength will suddenly appear from outside. But motivation is not what decides your growth. What decides is the daily choice you make between weakness and strength. Every morning when you wake up, you are faced with this decision. Will you give in to the voice of comfort? Or will you step into the challenge that builds you? That decision, repeated again and again, is what creates the person you see in the mirror. The weak version is patient. It does not demand one big failure from you. It only asks for small surrenders, one at a time. It tells you to delay your progress just for today, to rest when you should move, to stay silent when you should speak. And the danger is that one small surrender does not seem to matter. But weakness survives through repetition. A little surrender every day eventually shapes a life of regret. That is why the choice is so important. Because every single day becomes a step toward one version or the other. The strong version understands this clearly. It knows that greatness is not built in sudden moments of glory, but in the quiet, unseen decisions of daily life. It is the extra repetition when no one is watching, the moment you continue working when you are tired, the act of rising again when you have failed. These daily choices feed strength. And as the days pass, they shape a version of you that is resilient, disciplined, and unshakable. Understand that both versions cannot live equally. One must die for the other to live. If you consistently choose weakness, strength cannot grow. But if you consistently choose strength, weakness loses its power. This is why you must treat every day as a battlefield, not against the world, but within yourself. Each choice is a weapon. Each decision is a strike, and every time you choose action, courage, and discipline, you are killing the weak version of yourself and keeping the strong one alive. Do not think the choice is too small to matter. The strongest people are not made in rare moments of inspiration, but in the ordinary consistency of daily decisions. The weak version waits for you in those ordinary moments, hoping you will ignore the importance of your choice. But the strong version thrives when you remember that every choice counts. Success is simply the accumulation of strong choices. Failure is the accumulation of weak ones. You already hold the power to decide. Each morning is a new chance. Each challenge is a new opportunity. The question is never whether you are capable, because you are. The question is whether you will choose to act like the strong version or allow the weak one to survive another day. So do not let weakness live inside you any longer. Feed the strong version with discipline, with action, with courage. Make the right choice today, then repeat it tomorrow and again the day after. Because every day you decide which version of yourself deserves to survive, and the decision you make will define the rest of your life. So as we stand at the end of this journey, remember one truth above all: the weak version of yourself has no right to lead your life. You were not born to live in excuses, in comfort, in hesitation, or in fear. You were born to rise, to endure, to grow, and to conquer the limits within. Every choice you make from this day forward will either feed weakness or feed strength, and only you have the power to decide which version survives. Do not wait for tomorrow. Do not wait for the perfect moment. The battle is here. The time is now. Step forward with discipline. Face discomfort with courage, and allow the strongest version of yourself to live fully. I wish you strength on this path, clarity in your choices, and the unshakable determination to kill the weakness within you every single day. Good luck on your journey, and thank you